What's up, cunt bags? This is your boy GMillion, and I am hung like a monster. I am here with my boy. What's your name, bitch?
Raven, of course it's my name. Maybe I'm the killer.
Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just a bitch.
Maybe you're the bitch.
Or maybe I'm the fucking killer. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? It could be anyone.
You know who I think it is?
Uh, is it Jade?
No, he's in a wheelchair. He can't be the
Is it
killer.
Darish? Is it Darish?
Maybe, but I think he just goes after porn stars that reject him.
Hello. Yes.
It it might be Bruno.
Oh, you're right. He ain't here.
Oh yeah,
Who knows?
he's like, how dare you call me a tree?
Yeah, Bruno might be the killer.
Yeah.
We just got done watching Stream 5.
Scream 5. Not that great of a movie.
Really not that great. It's really for the people that like Scream. It's a little
Yeah.
too cliche. Like, I get it. It's for the super fans of Scream.
Yeah, this reboot is more of super fans.
Yeah, so if
I'm
you're
pretty sure
like,
you're gonna think of the same thing of Scream 6, but Scream 6 is a lot better. I think they did a lot better job with Scream 6.
okay, well, if whenever DSP gets around it, we'll watch Scream 6. I look, it was a little too cliche-ish. I hate the trope. Like, they do this in Halloween where they're holding the gun or going somewhere and they build up suspense, and then it's always 3, 2, 1, killer's behind you.
Yeah, they always do that. Um, this movie focuses more on story than the Halloween movie, so that might not be what you want. I don't think it's as cheesy as a Halloween movie or as fake. I think production
Right.
wise they done a lot better job, and acting I think they did a lot better job in this movie than Halloween.
Yes,
It is still teenage bullshit. If you're not into teenage bullshit, then you're not gonna like this movie.
right. And also it's a movie to have fun with. So for me going like I didn't like this movie is it's the characters are a little too wooden. Like I get it. You're not supposed to know what they are. They're going to get murdered anyway.
Right,
But
right.
there's not like, "Oh, I'm attached to this person," but give me something. Like give me something to attach to before they get murdered. A lot of times they don't, but this one didn't either.
Right, right. Well, a character that I kind of liked died, and that sucked for him. But I kind of liked Wes because he was like normal compared to like
Yeah,
everyone else.
yeah, I mean, he was normal, and it's just like it's just sad.
Yeah, and his mom was the worst sheriff ever.
Yeah, she didn't even have a gun either. We're spoiling the movie, but you want to tell that scene? That was really dumb.
Oh yeah, she thought her son was in trouble, and well, let's just say we're gonna have Phil spoil it for you guys. So,
I'm sure, but also. Can we just say everyone in this movie was kind of dumb?
well, yeah, horror movies. Everyone's dumb in horror
Yeah, but
movies.
they were like dumber. Like they were on next. They were like deadhead dumb.
Yeah, like
This one's
I don't
this
know.
one's 2 stars.
I would give it a 2 stars. I liked it better than Halloween because I like the franchise better, but
Okay,
and
all right, that's fine.
this one, like I have context. I seen the first four. Scream 4 was the worst Scream movie, and
If Stream 4 is the worst, then this one is just behind it, so that's not good.
yeah, I think Scream 6 is probably one of my favorites.
But also, we're grading horror movies on a curve here. We understand it's a horror film. We're not
Yeah,
here to go like, oh my god, it's an Oscar worthy. Like it's a the two movies he picked are very cliche. Sorry.
yeah, Halloween and Scream. Come on, how cliche can you get with those two franchises?
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's like it's just really weird how he goes for the most mainstream horror stuff and nothing like more artsy.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go with something like X, Pearl,
Or Talk to Me. I know people said, "Hey, you should watch Talk to Me." Even that one was like weird in a way that I'm like, okay, you
It
gotta be
was
more
weird in an
specific.
artsy, independent way.
Right, right. But this is like mainstream. Look, we're not trying to offend anyone kind of horror.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. All right, let's see how DSP ruins this.
Yeah, so now we're gonna get into DSP. Let's see how this goes. Okay, play, you son of a bitch. Gonna let you guys know this video is 16 minutes and 47 minutes, so almost 17 minutes long. And
Indeed.
probably a good minute of it's probably gonna be the intro. And his backstory.
Cube. And his cube.
What is up, everyone? Phil here. Welcome to DSP Reacts, and welcome
for fuck's sake.
to another horror movie review. I'm going to be doing at least one horror movie review a week over the course of October 2023.
History lesson.
If not more, time permitting.
Indeed,
it's
a history
more about
lesson.
me having the time to sit down, formulate my thoughts, and film this review than watch the movies. And continuing on with the pattern of classic horror movie series that have been rebooted, tonight I'm going to review Scream 5, or as they called it last year in 2022 when it was originally released, just Scream. And much like a lot of horror series that tried to reboot the series...
Didn't they rename it to Scream 5?
No, it's just Scream. But everyone just knows it as Scream 5.
Okay, alright.
So it's pretty much like Scream 4 came out, nobody really liked it, and 10 years later, Scream.
Is that the subtle nod they did in the movie to say no one liked the reboot?
Or nobody liked it the last movie, so they're doing a requel bullshit, because it is kind of a requel, sequel / retelling. Because everyone's all older, newer generation, and all that bullshit. Newer kids, newer teens.
Right.
Jenna Ortega.
Dancing with her hands.
With just the original name, it can definitely cause some confusion.
Only if you're Phil.
Doesn't.
Scream was a really awesome horror movie that came out in the 1990s, and the reason that it was so unique is because it was meta before we even knew what that meant. It broke the fourth wall. Essentially, in the movie, the characters were self-aware of how horror movies work and established a set of rules on how to survive or how to do really irresponsible things and essentially get murdered quick. The movie was unique because it had twists and turns in the plot. You didn't really know who the killers were. It wasn't cliche like other horror movies where okay, that's Jason, or that's Michael Myers, or Freddy Krueger. You had a mystery killer. And the whole movie was a whodunit, pointing fingers at, who actually is the murderer. And at the end, through a lot of gore and a lot of death, twist ending, pretty cool. And it really kind of started a whole new idea of what the classic slasher horror movie should be. Well, the Scream franchise went on to have 3 movies in its original trilogy over the next, I think it was like 5 or 6 years, that all did pretty good at the box office. But at the end of the third one, people realized it was time to kind of wrap up that plot. They tried to revive the series in 2011 with Scream 4. And when Scream 4 came out, man, did it get hit with a lot of backlash and criticism.
So with Scream 4, they try to introduce other characters, and Sydney was involved in it. It wasn't good.
No.
Mostly because the movie had really kind of thrown away a lot of the established lore and tropes that was part of the series all along. It had a new lead. Instead of Sidney Prescott, the girl from that hometown who was always stalked by this ghost-faced killer, it was someone new. The characters weren't as interesting, nor did many of them have really interesting ties to the original cast. That was one of the cool things about
This has nothing to do with Scream 5.
No, it doesn't. Like, you should get into the movie review. Come on,
Like,
Phil.
I mean, you're
It's 3
setting it
minutes
up,
in.
but this has nothing to do with the actual movie.
Yeah, you're
That's all.
giving us your usual history lessons.
Indeed. All right.
The original Scream trilogy is that you had these recurring characters. You know, Dewey, who was the deputy in town who ends up trying to stop the killer and gets thwarted at every turn. The news reporter Gail Weathers, who is continuously covering the story of the Ghostface killer and keeps getting sucked into the realm of it. Of course, Sydney and her whole family, who get pulled into it repeatedly. You never knew if the Ghostface is one of her family members or not, as well as other supporting characters along the way. Well, Scream 4 really threw it on its head. Now, without spoiling, basically, people did not like who the killer was in Scream 4. I saw Scream 4 around 2011, 2012.
Phil, why do you keep playing with your hair? Come on.
Phil, why are we talking about this?
Yeah. Just get into the fucking movie, dude. It's 3 minutes. 3 minutes
Yes.
and 20 seconds.
Are you
I,
reviewing
too, thought
Scream
it was
4 or
absolutely
5?
ridiculous. Now, not to say that the Scream movies are
I guess both.
hyper-realistic by any means, but at the same time, they follow lines of logic. And if you've been following the lines of logic of Scream up to that point, Scream 4 didn't really make sense. Let's put it that way. So after Scream 4 was essentially hit with tons of criticism and saying, wow, they really ran this franchise into the ground, I wish they never...
Stop playing with your fucking hair, please.
You know, there's a lot of horror films that have been ran into the ground and came back, Phil.
Like what?
Like Scream, for instance, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. I still know what you did last summer. And Friday the 13th, and Halloween, and the list goes on and on.
Revived it. It's now been 11 years since they made a Scream movie. 2011 all the way to 2022. So when Scream 5 came out, what they announced was that it was going to be a return to form. One of these new series rebooted. See, it's Scream, not Scream 5, but it is still the continuation of the plot line of the original 4 movies. Much like the original movies, this movie is very meta and very fourth wall breaking. Once again, the characters in the movie know that essentially they're in a horror movie.
No,
in
they
fact,
don't.
one of the running...
Nope. They just know that there's a killer on the loose, and they follow horror movie principles to try to stay alive.
That's
Did you
it.
not pay attention?
Of course you didn't.
parodies that have been going on throughout the Scream franchise is that there's a movie series called Stab in the movie that's representative of what's happening in real life after the fact, which is weird. Imagine if you were in Friday the 13th and there was something called Hockey Mask Killer playing at the movie theater where the hockey mask killer was outside named Jason Voorhees killing some people in the street. That's essentially what happens in the Scream franchise. So when they announced that they were going to reboot it, I think a lot of people were skeptical. I didn't see this last year. I actually just saw it for the first time the other night. I don't want to spoil much of the plot, but I will...
He's gonna spoil a lot of the plot. Look how long this video is.
Yep.
say some generalities. If you're interested in this movie, I'm going to do my best to not spoil it for you.
If people really wanted to watch this movie and not get spoiled, they would have watched it a year ago.
Right.
Because I feel that the intricacies of the whodunit plot in Scream movies is one of the best parts about it. It's why I like these movies, because I'm always interested in trying to guess who the killer is.
It's not that very great.
But I am going to give you some general plot points. For example, there is a new protagonist. There is a new family of people intertwined with the ghost-faced killer. And it's not Sidney Prescott and her group of friends. It's a whole new, family of people. A girl at the beginning of the movie is attacked, and then her sister, who lives out of town, is kind of forced back into town to see what the heck's going on with her sister, who was just attacked by the ghost-faced killer, and it pulls you into this big entanglement. Who did it? Was it one of the girl's friends? Is it something else going on? Come to find out, in a very general way, long story short, the whole goal here is to get the whole Ghostface thing going up again. Okay?
Thank you for spoiling the movie, because that was part of
Really?
that was
You
part
don't
of the
say.
twist.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for spoiling the movie, Phil.
So, who is Ghostface? Why is Ghostface killing people in this town again? You know, what is the relationship? Is there even a relationship, or is it a total stranger? Over the course of the movie, it's interesting because I'd say the entire first like 2/3 of the movie is all about new characters, right? These two sisters, one of which was attacked, and why they're being attacked, and then their friends and stuff like that. Over the course of the movie, more people start to be murdered. But why are they being murdered? What's the motive? That's part of the whodunit mystery. Now, this already is known publicly, so I'm not spoiling much here. I mean, you can look at the poster for yourself. Some of the original characters from the original Scream movies are in this. Dewey, Gale Weathers, and Sidney Prescott are all in the movie. They're pulled back into this web. Dewey is recruited by the newcomers as an expert on what's going on, basically trying to get him to help them figure out who the killer is and stop it. Sidney and Gale Weathers really don't want to be part of it, but they get pulled in other different ways into the web.
Wait. Pause. That's not. They seem like they were for it.
Gale Weathers more than Sydney.
Yeah, Gale was all for it. Sydney's like, whatever.
He's like, no, I got a family. I don't want to be a part of this shit.
Yeah.
Then, when something happened in the movie, then she decided to come down.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that Phil's gonna probably spoil.
The movie has a lot of meta stuff. Again, fourth wall breaking. A lot of the characters are actually either relatives or friends or in relation to previous characters from the series.
Yeah.
And there's even some other returning supporting characters, not as big as those big three I mentioned, that are in it. And definitely this movie has stakes and consequences. And what I will say is, without spoiling again, actual returning major characters do die.
Thank you for spoiling the movie. I thought you weren't going to spoil this movie, Phil.
I know what he's talking about, but fuck you.
Jesus.
Okay? That's huge. In a lot of these movie series, everyone seems to be safe, right? How many horror movie series have returning characters? Oh, I don't care. They're going to be fine by the end of the movie. Not in this one. And that's an interesting spin because it means that it's actually more interesting when you know no one has plot armor. Okay? I will say this. The new cast is interesting and good. And I will actually say this as well. Sadly, some of the returning characters I feel just aren't up to it anymore or don't do it.
They're old. They have other shit to do.
They're very old. The movies from like the 90s, Phil.
Bro.
It's like 40 years ago.
It's like The Exorcist Believers. The original girl is in this movie, in that movie. She's old, okay? What can she do to add to the newer film?
Blair?
I think the actress name is Emily something.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Like you could see her in the trailer, but like, yeah, they're old. They play their role in this film. They do the best that they can. I do admit that their performances are not that great, but it's more focused on the teens.
It's a horror film.
Yeah, it is a horror film, and Sam and Tara probably were the best out of all the actors.
Yeah.
To be completely honest with you.
Do a very good job. I'll give you some examples here. Okay? Dewey. His character actually has a really great plot line in this movie, and I feel is actually probably the best character. I was happy to see him back.
You like Dewey because he's old, like you, and he's not a chick.
And to see him essentially take on almost like a hero role in the movie. But the characters of Gale Weathers and Sidney Prescott, honestly, they don't really do much. By the time that they come back into the movie's plot, they're just like extra bodies to be put in the way of the killer.
No.
I disagree.
No.
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 They were very smart. What the hell are you talking about?
And they played a big role, but we're not gonna fucking spoil it.
They don't really do much. They don't have many intelligent thoughts or...
So dumb.
Are you watching the same movie as we are?
No.
ideas of how to
I
stop
agree,
the killer.
Pharma.
They're
Bro.
just there because they're there. And even at the end of the movie, like as you see everyone else acting around them, you can tell that these actresses, Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox, really haven't done this recently. They don't really do a very good
Do
job.
you think it's real?
Yeah, bro, they've been in all the Scream movies, okay? They know how to play their character. I'm just saying.
Bro. I thought they played their role very nicely. They're the smartest people there.
Well, yeah, they're grown up, more mature. They've been through more than anybody. You know, Dewey, Gail, and Sydney been through it the most. So yeah, they're
Indeed.
pretty much the smart ones there.
Honestly, like I said, they kind of look like mannequins standing around. They don't look scared. They don't act.
This shit doesn't phase them anymore.
Yeah, they've been through a lot, Phil.
Come on, you go through the same serial killer tropes so many times, you're kind of like, let's just get through this, you know? You have to put on a face so you can get through this alive, not be scared like a little fucking kid like they were when the movie actually came out. Like when
Indeed.
the original came out, Phil. They're desensitized to it. That's the correct term.
Yeah, they've seen it so much, they're like, whatever.
I mean, their acting in the previous movies was leaps and bounds above anything that they did in this movie.
You want to keep adding to this, or you just want to skip?
There's nothing to really
I'm not
add.
sure what
He's just
happened
being
and why they
stupid.
didn't prepare them to kind of jump back into these roles. I think they could have done
Actually,
a
I
much
will
better job.
add something to this. Fuck you. They were the smartest people in the whole movie. Like, they knew what was going on. Like, everyone else is kind of dumb and all that stuff. Like, they were the smartest. The two of them were the smartest ones in the whole movie. But that's not saying much.
Yeah, the kids were being the dumb ones, the sake of being the newer generation. You have the adults that have been through this multiple times that you can deal with this under pressure.
Right.
Overall, I really liked the movie. Although there are some pet peeves and annoyances that I will mention. But overall, it feels like a return to form. Unlike Scream 4, where so many new characters were thrown at you, and it really didn't feel like there were stakes because these are all new
The
characters.
only reason
you
you
don't care
liked
about.
it because everyone
This one,
died.
you have the combination of returning characters as well as new characters.
Stop
and there
spinning
are
around in the
interesting ties
chair.
between them. Again, without spoiling, there are direct connections between the new cast and the old cast, and it's interesting to see that because it kind of ties the two movies or franchises, or I should say the two plot lines together. And that was neat to see that. And I will definitely say this.
He's looking at his notes, probably.
I think they needed to do this because if they once again did Scream 5, okay, we're going back to basics. We're going to bring back the original cast and it's only about them again. I do feel like it wouldn't have been as interesting. At some point, you need to move on.
No shit, Phil. And you're sitting here complaining that the older cast didn't do a good job.
And you need bodies to murder.
Yeah, that's what the kids are for. Kill the teens, have the older people come in and help the main characters go through the situation.
On from the past, and it was cool to see a whole new group of protagonists kind of picking up the reins for where this franchise is going to go in the future. And unlike Scream 4, it wasn't just people there for the sake of being there because they're being stalked by Ghostface. These people have ties to the original plot lines of the original movies, and that's a good thing. But once again,
They explain that in the
ridiculous
movie.
things in these movies that you kind of have to suspend your disbelief.
In any
No
horror
shit.
movie, you have to suspend disbelief.
Any movie, really.
Yeah, any movie. Like, I stopped nitpicking everything in movies because I really hate the critics that do.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, yes, if we could nitpick. There was a big plot hole in this movie that they. I'm not gonna say, but for me, I'm like, what the fuck happened to this person? Banished.
So I'm just going to give you two examples as general as I can without spoiling the plot. There's one situation where someone calls the cops and says, you need to come to this house right away because everyone's at risk. Then there proceeds to be like a 10 to 15 minute scene where the cops don't show up. Where were they?
It's a horror movie, Phil.
Yeah,
I know what
horror
scene he's
movie.
talking
Come
about.
on, Phil. Suspend your disbelief, like what you said earlier. Or maybe when someone's in a stressful situation like that, it may feel like 10 to 15 minutes
Yeah.
before the cops come. Because when you hear stories when people are like under attack or, you know, in a bad situation where they need the cops to come, you hear all these people say that it feels like it took a long time, but in reality it was like 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, that whole scene was dumb.
Yeah, it was dumb. Like, small town, the sheriff says, you know, bring everyone to my house. Obviously the boss tells you to do something, you better do it. And essentially no one shows up until everyone's something. Not gonna spoil unless he does it.
Right.
You know, and you know, oh my God, bloody murder! Everyone converge on this house. Where are the cops? They take so long. Of course, they're too late to help, right? And then there's another situation where there's supposed to be someone under a protective custody, yet somehow, of course, the killer gets to them. How? I don't know. And then there's another scene, and this is really ridiculous. And if I explain the full reason why,
There was someone there. If he's talking about a scene that I'm thinking of.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah, there was someone there. There
Yeah,
was someone there, Phil.
You weren't paying attention.
this scene is ridiculous, it would kind of spoil. But let me just put it this way. The killers in these movies are kind of superhuman for a while, but then at the end when it's revealed who they are, it's supposed to be like realistic. Here's why. In the first movie, the reason why you believe that Ghostface was able to do what they did is because it's two nut job guys who maybe are hopped up on drugs. It kind of makes sense. Okay, these kids are kind of nuts. Maybe they're just out of their minds. They're doing drugs or whatever, and that's why they were able to pull this crap off.
Pause, please. I always believed it was, what do you say? Like a stronger person, let's just say. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, because in reality, you don't know.
Right. That's always been my takeaway was, you know, but whatever.
Yeah, because in the first movie, Billy Lumen, what was he, like a football quarterback or something? Or,
I think so.
yeah, I know he was a jock, but I don't remember what sport he played, football or whatever. It was an old 90s movie, so it was, you know, those types. And this one, it's hard not to spoil it. I almost did, but it's really hard.
In this movie, there's a scene where the killer gets injured, and then it's never addressed for the rest of the movie, as if it never happened. Huh? You blatantly were hurt in the scene. You could see it happen, and then it's like it never had. The killer's never happens later on. Like it's just forgotten. And that I didn't like. Like that's a plot hole. Sorry, the killer should be injured. At least they should be giving away an
Suspend your disbelief, Phil, like you said earlier.
indication that they were hurt. Nothing.
Right.
It's perfectly fine. Were they Wolverine with a healing factor? It doesn't really make much sense.
No.
And then later on, of course, as you know, there's always a reveal of who the character is, or the killer is, and I'll just put it this way: it's a little confusing because it doesn't really make sense to some of the other stuff that happened earlier in the movie. That's all I'm going to say.
Makes total sense
some of
to
you
me.
will understand if you've seen the movie or if you're going to see the movie. Again,
Phil, this is what the Scream franchise is. Super strong killers. They get hurt. They have like superhuman healing or something. You can't think about it too much. You're thinking about these movies way too much. That's why you can't review this stuff.
Right, and also, it's the killer. You can't have them get hurt because they're set up like a bitch, so they can't just make them like, oh my god, they got hurt by this thing. You know, you gotta, it is what
they
it
don't
is
want
on
to
that.
kill the killers way too early.
Right. If the killer was easy to murder, what do you have?
Exactly.
I don't want to spoil the whole plot for you guys, but overall, I still found it highly enjoyable, I should say. Even with the things that were like, again, when you go into a movie like this, you have to suspend your disbelief. But at the same
Well, yeah.
There you go, Phil.
time, it's kind of a cop out, especially a whodunit, where you're trying to guess who's the killer, and at the
I
end, you're like,
wasn't
now
guessing
how did
at
that
all.
make sense? It doesn't, right?
I was just sitting back enjoying the ride because I didn't want you to get spoiled.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, this movie made it very hard to figure out who the killer was. I mean, but that's the whole point.
Yeah. And I think another issue with Scream 4, either Scream 3 or 4, it was one of those two, it was super easy.
Yeah, like this one, they're not supposed to go like, you never guess who it was, and they finally reveal it. You're like, oh, okay. It wasn't like, oh my god, that's like insane. It was like, oh, okay, Like they were setting it up the whole time, and then after they did it, it's like, oh, that's lame.
So that kind of got me. But at the same time, I really liked the movie. But here's the thing. This was the reboot, right? This was the one where they brought back Sydney, they brought back Gale, they brought back Dewey. There was other returning characters as well that
they brought back
aren't even
Dewey
on this poster.
Bruno's here.
Will the next one, Scream 6, which just came out this year, have returning characters again? Do you want to know the truth? I don't think it should. I think...
Why?
Does it?
Oh, I know. Of course, dude. I seen it in theaters I forgot, it was probably in IMAX. Go watch the trailer. We'll watch the trailer after this.
Okay.
They said Scream 6 was probably one of the best Scream movies in a while.
Okay, cool.
Mainly because of Jenna Ortega.
It was nice to see them back, but man, like I said, especially with some of the bad acting of Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox, really not fitting into the roles and kind of just being extra bodies or mannequins rather than having any kind of real emotion.
Mannequins.
I didn't feel it from them at all. And I get it, the nostalgia factor. This was the movie to tie the original plot to a new plot so that it could continue on. I'm okay with that. But now I'd actually like to see this series of movies continue on with the new cast rather than keep going back to the tropes of the old cast members. So I hope that happens. I hope they do the right thing moving forward. Overall, I liked it. If you're a fan of the original Scream movies, you're going to like this. If you didn't see the original ones and you see this movie, you'll have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you would.
You kind of would. Like you'll have an idea what the premise of the movie's about, but
they telegraph it.
Yeah, because like if you've seen a slasher, you kind of have an idea, but the story wise, you kind of like you'll get lost.
Yeah, if you didn't know who those characters was, I can get what you're saying, but yeah.
Yeah, especially if you watch Scream 6 before you watch Scream 5. Scream 4 you could skip, but Scream 1 through 3 you should definitely watch those before you watch this one.
You absolutely need to know who the characters are to understand the context of what's going on in this movie.
They telegraph it.
And, a lot of people also, I feel, probably would have issue with the ending. All right? Like the actual identity of the killer and why the killer kills.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It was very clear. Would you have guessed the killers if you were by yourself watching the movie naked?
Here's the thing. If I was watching, well, I'm never naked watching these movies, but if I was watching this movie, I'm not trying to figure out who the killer is because they're distracting you with the movie.
So you're just more focused on just sitting back, watching the shit, and just...
Right, because it's gonna tell us because if they wanted us to guess, they would have dropped better hints. And they just didn't.
I didn't have much issue with it because I'm so used to horror movies. But I think if people are looking for like concrete stuff, you may be a little upset. Yeah.
No shit. It's a cut and paste slasher film from the biggest slasher film franchise.
Also, if you could guess who the killer or whatever it is, I feel like that would just cheapen it. You're like, well, that's easy.
Yeah.
Like they did a very good job of keeping you going like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to go for what was in the first movie. Because again, I think everyone's seen Scream 1 at this point. And basically the killer's motives at the end of the first movie are kind of ridiculous. They're actually not logical. In this movie, there is supposed to be logic behind it, but then it's, let me put it this way, it's just not the best reason. So, I don't know. I think some people might have issue with that. I liked it still. I really liked it. As a reinvigoration of the franchise, I think it went in the right direction. And I'm very curious now to see the next one from this year, because that
I'm curious how he's gonna feel about Scream 6.
Me too.
one came out within like a year of the one before. They put that together fast, right? So I'm curious. Does it live?
Or they filmed them together. They do that, Phil.
Yeah.
Maybe they filmed Stream 5 and 6 back to back together. Like Drake. Maybe that's what they did. They wrap up Scream 5 and then they started literally a week later on Scream 6.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long to film. Like, what they could be doing is writing both movies at the same time, have a general idea where they want these characters to go in a trilogy, and as they were finishing up the first one, have the groundwork laid out for the second one, and by the time they finish up with the first one, they already have the script, they already have the actors, and they already are set to shoot. Now that's a possibility. And it only takes like 4 to 5 months to shoot the film.
Right.
So, just letting you know.
Up to how good Scream 5 was, or is it way worse now that I guess these former cast members are no longer in it? So Scream 5, I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I certainly didn't hate it. It is way better than Scream 4. Scream 4 I did not like at all.
Yes.
This movie I was enjoying. I think that they had some love and attention to the original characters and original plots with those callbacks. That's why they did them. I do hope that they move on from that now in the future, but I did enjoy it, and I'm actually very intrigued in Scream 6 now that I've seen Scream 5. If you haven't seen Scream in a long time, this is a good one to jump back into. You can even skip 4. I just find it funny. I'm not even kidding you. In the movie, they outright are making fun of Scream 4, but not really.
Yeah, I do have to agree with Phil on that one. They are making fun of Scream 4.
They're making fun of the latest Stab movie. And they're saying, oh, you see, the protagonist sucks and the killer sucks. It's hilarious. They're making fun of their own movie by saying that, admitting that Scream 4 was terrible.
Not like someone we know, Phil.
To what people liked about the franchise. So I'm happy that they did that with Scream 4.
Now you can call out your own shit, right? No?
Nah, it's gonna happen.
Eventually. You notice how he's not going into the movie as much? And someone did bring it up. So do you think he's actually listening to his people?
Nope.
His dents?
5.
Nope.
Give it a look. If you like the originals,
Okay.
I think you'll like it. All right. That's my review of Scream 5. Not many or any spoilers in there this time around. So I hope that you enjoyed the review. I will be back soon, within the next week or so, with another review. Now, what I was going to do is alternate, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go straight for Scream 6 or if I'm going to go for another Halloween movie or something else. We'll see. But I will be reviewing Scream 6 coming up this month, so I hope you'll come back to the channel to check that out. If you enjoyed the review, thanks for watching. Remember, please like the video, leave comments, let me know what you thought about Scream 5. All right? Thank you all, and I'll see you soon for another horror movie review.
It sucked and you suck.
Well, okay, it was better than his Halloween review.
Yes. He's kind of learning, but not really.
Yeah, we'll give him that. He's kind of learning. He's not spoiling the movies. He still needs to work on, like, plot, like.
Right. It's him. It's
Let
like,
us know the director. Let us know the runtime. Just shit like that basic reviewers give out.
Yeah.
if he wants to take this seriously, I'm not taking these reviews seriously because
They're
we're
so
covering
bad.
Phil, so like I don't really care. Like, however, Phil is kind of learning. We'll see if he keeps learning, and we'll see if he goes back to his ways.
I highly doubt it, but
Yeah.
that one better. But these reviews are bad for you, Phil. But whatever. Congrats, you didn't piss us off too long.
No, we'll see what Scream 6 turns out to be. I'm more interested in the Scream 6 review than his Halloween reviews because
Yeah,
for reasons.
at least he gets it.
All right, please please put a comment in this video. Please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs so I can be a partner. And like this video. You know, like equals engagement. And if I get 100 likes, I'll do a bubble blow somehow, some way. And Raven will take off his shirt and suck a cucumber for you guys.
I would love to do that, but no.
All right. Last words, Raven.
DSP's a bitch.
All right. Cool. Bye.